boxing shit, what's going on right now is this. And I shouldn't even be saying this on air, but fuck it. A lot of these fighters, they getting paid less money. They giving these fighters less money to take all of these tough fights, bro. When I come on TV, they know they gotta pay me. They know they gotta pay. So I take a lot of a budget up. But a lot of these fighters, man, that's why a lot of these fights is going on pay-per-view. You see a lot of these fights going on pay-per-view because they guaranteeing somebody $1 million, and then they hoping that they pay-per-view buys do all the numbers, when right now ain't nobody buying that shit. That's why fighters is losing. And that's why they losing a lot of fighters to the zone. No. I can't even really say too much, cause I'm gonna be getting calls from Al Heyman and all of them in a minute. But I know what I'm talking about. I'm a businessman, and they know that. And when it come to me fighting, they gotta come correct. They'll get a good fighter. He good, but he never made this type of money before. From $1 million, and then hope his pay-per-view buys do a big number, whatever, big numbers. But it don't happen. So they lose money. And they getting paid less. When I can go somewhere get a guaranteed $5 to $10 million.
We're going to talk about some deep things in the next 30 minutes, but let me tell you something. The best way I can put it is I'm going the podcast route. If you notice, I'm doing 30-minute streams, hour-long streams. I make sure that I do my post-fight videos Saturdays. That's the bread and butter. But I would be driven back to the bottle if I had to talk about the same shit every day, all day. Oh, Canelo wiped his ass, but said Charlo got to do this. Tank Davis did this. You know, they done ran Deontay Wilder into the mud. So we're going to talk here about multiple topics. There's going to be multiple jump cuts because it is 9 a.m. in the morning on a Wednesday morning. And I'm doing some things around the house, spring cleaning, rebuilt my beautiful website here, FightView 360. It's still under heavy maintenance. And I'm not, well, I guess I am now, a web developer. But yeah, I do all this shit myself. But we're going to go through the rankings and talk about all the deep politics that are going on in boxing. And we're going to break the fourth wall here. And we're also going to talk about boxing media, boxing YouTubers, boxers, promoters, managers, and why I feel that boxing is eating itself, and it's only a matter of time before there's some type of great reset, because it's kind of happening right in front of our faces. And Adrian Broner's pretty much saying it. For example, right? Look at all these pay-per-views. You got Canelo versus Bivol. PBC hardcore fans. And there's nothing wrong with that. PBC hardcore fans are very upset with Canelo because he didn't choose 160-pound champion who would be moving up to 168, Jamal Charlo. And then, you know, David Benavidez. Jamal Charlo, 160-pound champion, doesn't have a belt at 168. Canelo is done with 160 pounds. Even Golovkin, if he beats Murata, when is that, April the 9th, over in Japan, on the zone here in the States, Amazon Prime over in Asian territories, he's going to have to move up to 168 pounds, despite the fact that he may be, if he beats Murata, WBA Super and IBF a unified champion at 160. The WBO is currently vacant. Andrade hasn't fully vacated yet, but he's going to be fighting Zach Parker at 168. Jean Jabek, Alan Canuli was ordered to fight Jaime Munguia for that vacant WBO title. Charlo has the WBC. We're going to talk about that. But then you have fights like Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero. I'm a Tank Davis fan. But let's go ahead and talk about it. Tank Davis's last three fights were Leo Santa Cruz, on pay-per-view. Okay, the black fighter against the Mexican fighter. That's a known formula in boxing. It's always been. Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz, because Rolly Romero had some, YouTube don't like when we say it, especially since I was shadow banned, and right now my channel is still under a probationary period. But known YouTubers know, partner YouTubers know, there's certain words you can't say on YouTube. You know, they really don't like it. But basically, he had some allegations against him, you know, and I'm treading very lightly. So his fight against Tank Davis on pay-per-view was canceled. Now, the only reason why that fight was really appealing is because Rolly Romero is a showman outside the ring. He can talk on the microphone. You know, showed up to the press conference in a fur coat. But it is no way that a fight that would have been on regular free TV Showtime or free TV Fox just 3 years ago should be on pay-per-view, because these promoters, and in this case more so PBC, as Adrian Broner was saying, they promised these fighters this money, and these fighters, you know, you got to keep their guarantees up. And, you know, you got to tell them, well, listen, champ, you know, you're your own boss over here. We're going to put you versus such and such on pay-per-view. We're going to give you this 1 million, 1.5 or 2 million guaranteed. And then I'm telling you, you're going to get the points off the pay-per-view buys and all that. But yo, fans are revolting. They're not buying these pay-per-views. You know, these fights are not the type of fights where people get hype about and they have barbecues like, yo, we're gonna have this motherfucking fight party. You coming over for Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz? Yo, we firing up the grill in February for motherfucking Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios. Oh, you know what really sickened me? And huge red flag. The very first day of the new year, January the 1st, New Year's Day, not giving it to us on free TV anywhere, or even on Showtime, but on pay-per-view at a special low price. They charged us for Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin. Why? It's because Luis Ortiz was promised a certain amount of money. So they say, all right, we're going to give you this, but look, you're a pay-per-view star now. Try to sell that shit. And fans are waking up. We have a huge problem in boxing right now. For one, the YouTubers are trash. I'm not consistent enough, so I guess I'm trash too. The media, many of them are trash, and many of them are snakes. Let me tell you something. The PR people, many of them are out of touch. And a lot of them have caused and created some of the problems by validating some of these people, letting them to the events. The fans, you got casuals who are educated by these trash vloggers and YouTubers, and they take their bullshit narratives to social media and they don't know what they're talking about. Don't know how the business works, you know, and just, you know, some of them don't even, they start saying fights about fighters in certain weight divisions and talking about shit. It's like, bro. For example, we're going to break the fourth wall here, but I can talk about it because I'm a person of color. But where is all the black coverage of Chocolatito Gonzalez on YouTube? Or how about any divisions below 100 and, well, you got Steve Fulton now, 100, below 122. 122 and below. But I remember, oh, Rashid Warren, he going to be the one person of color. You see what I'm saying? But if you go, and this is what I do after I do my videos, I wait about a day or two. Go to your YouTube and go under filters. Type in Chocolatito or Gonzalez versus Martinez. Then go to your filters. Put in this week because the fight just happened on Saturday. Then go to view count and start scrolling down and yo. But yet they'll talk about Canelo 3, 4, 5 times a day. I understand why he moves the needle. They'll talk about Tank Davis and Devin Haney and 4 or 5 times a day. You know. And what really, really hurt me was I was a huge, and still am, Deontay Wilder supporter. I'm talking about from when he was fighting on ESPN Friday Night Fights and shit. or he was doing when he doing interviews with Teddy Atlas with the big brown church suit on, or over in the UK with Tyson Fury, like, you know, and how he let that shit and them nutsuckers go to his head. Like, I never thought I would see a multi-million-dollar athlete get manipulated by YouTubers. That's what happened. All that glove shit, he wasn't talking none of that shit until some guy named Young Pharaoh, some moon praising. Bruh, don't get me started on that. And then you had other YouTubers. I talked about it in the video. You had other YouTubers like, you know what? We're going to run with that. That's getting a lot of views. Look at all them people donating to this bullshit. And it became a scam. Deontay Wilder became a scam and ended up getting scammed by his own people. Isn't it that's crazy to me? Like, that's crazy. He ended up getting scammed by his own people. So let's start here. Let's finish up this right here and think about it like this. January, Luis Ortiz, Charles Martin. February, Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios, two fighters coming off of losses. No pay-per-view this month, surprisingly, but wasn't it supposed to be Spence Ugas or something? I don't remember. April, of course, Spence Ugas. May, we're having Canelo versus Bivol. That's going to be on the Zone. On Showtime pay-per-view, May the 28th, Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero. Who's the June pay-per-view going to be? You got to have Andy Ruiz returns, and he's not returning on regular Showtime or Free TV Fox. He's going to be a pay-per-view, I'm guessing, against Luis Ortiz. July, who's the July pay-per-view going to be? Who's missing? Fuck it, maybe Keith Thurman, maybe Adrian Broner against some motherfucking body. Oh, Charlo Munguia. That's now in the pipeline. August, I'm guessing Andy Ruiz or somebody can be in that spot. You know, Deontay Wilder, they got to keep a spot open for him. September, Canelo again. And then you're going to have it recycled. Pay-per-views, like, you know. Now, for the Zone, they got their own shit going on with them. You know, they're just burning money. And with this pay-per-view thing, I'm pissed off just like everybody else. At one point in time, you know, I guess I got to put this out there. I used to beta test for the Zone. I used to get shit for free. Now I'm paying just like everybody else. $22 a month. Why? Because I refuse to give them guaranteed money, because what they did during the pandemic by not producing any content, and they got this thing going on where if you pause your subscription, sometimes they may just unpause it and still charge you anyway. Looking at boxing as a whole, let's go look at some rankings here. Heavyweight division, not too much really going on regarding politics. We do know that Usyk, well, that is politics, is you know, involved in tensions with, you know, war, Ukraine and Russia. But I'm talking about deep politics. There's not really no real deep politics going on, especially since Deontay Wilder's not champion anymore. Cruiserweight, man, 175, pretty much a top rank in the Zone division. Joe Smith and Artur Beterbiev are supposed to be fighting in June or so. I am not a fan of these sanctioning bodies trying to punish Russian athletes and companies, you know, like liquor companies and shit. Like what does that do? You know, why shouldn't Bivol and Artur Beterbiev be able to defend their belts? Oh, because they're Russian, punish them. And you think Vladimir Putin going to be like, damn, they done took my man Bivol belt. Shit. All right, pull the troops out. Sometimes fucking people be retarded. Like, you know, how's that going to help? It is clear that Canelo wants to unify the 175-pound division, at least in my opinion, because if he beats Dimitri Bivol, which I'm not confident in, by the way, we're going to be doing a lot more videos on Canelo Bivol, you know, over the next couple of months before the fight. I'm not confident in that because, in my opinion, Dimitri Bivol is the biggest test Canelo has had since Erislandy Lara. I'm talking about a full-fledged boxer, full-fledged in his prime, skilled 175-pounder, unless, of course, we find out there may be some weight clause shit going on, but we haven't heard anything yet. So if Canelo beats Dimitri Bivol, the winner of Joe Smith and Archibald Biev will have 3 belts. In December, if Canelo chooses and they can get a deal done November, December, well, Canelo says he wants to fight Bivol, then after that, Golovkin in September, then he wants to fight in December. In December, if he wants, he can try to make a deal, and I'm sure they'll say yes, to fight the winner of Smith versus Bivol. Berchabiev and be 175-pound undisputed champion and simultaneous 168-pound champion. Here's Charlo, by the way, 160. Ironically, David Benavidez and David Lemieux have a better chance of getting Canelo than Jamal Charlo. Jamal Charlo, if he didn't get his chance now, he would have been a voluntary. Now he's not going to get a chance because Canelo's going to have mandatory stacked on top of each other. For example, David Lemieux and David Benavidez, they're fighting to be the mandatory for Canelo, but the WBC can just make Canelo the franchise champion. Like Canelo here is at 160 still, but Canelo's not going back down to 160. Come on. And for Jamel Charlo to say Canelo should move down to 158, that's just like, bro, I'm not even entertaining that fucking bullshit right there. That shit makes no sense. By the way, take your time out, like the video, subscribe. This is TstreeT Controversy with Fight View 360. What do you guys want from a podcast? Do you like solo podcasts? Now, I've heard for quite some time, people have been telling me for years, like, yo, if you had a podcast, an hour long, you would be at the top of Google Play and Spotify and all that shit. But I'm still learning. I know a lot of people, look, oh, you record and upload audio. If you see my interface here, it's very, intricate. So if I do a podcast, I know it's going to, I want to put my all into it. Because I think that's where I belong. Because honestly, I'm just tired of all the view whoring. I am so disgusted with some of the, and I do watch everybody's videos, and it's no secret that I will say names. I understand how people get. They say, TstreeT, you didn't fell off, and, they don't say your name. I'm not doing fucking videos on the same shit every day. Trust me. If I did Canelo videos, or if I fed in on a Deontay Wilder scam that we talked about earlier and did Deontay Wilder Glovegate, even if I did debunking Glovegate videos every fucking day, I would have been at 150 fucking thousand subscribers right now. No. I like how organic things are around here. I don't feed into none of, and for one, as we talked about, I understand how people have to feed their families. But you're coming on here in front of thousands of people and you're just making shit up and being a whore. Like, I don't get it. And what happens is, briefly, I know the truth. People quit their day jobs. They get like a good month on YouTube, a good 2 months, 3 months on YouTube. And in the grand scheme of things, boxing is small, like viewership, compared to like if you're doing movie reviews or NBA reviews or NFL or video games. So people getting, putting a video out, their videos going to 10, 15, 5, 10, 15,000 a day. You putting yourself in the hole. You know why? Because you got to keep pushing that content out. And if it's no news, what do people do who don't have integrity? They manufacture content. They manufacture news. They misinterpret stuff. They read off a boxing scene, Copinger, and they come on here and lie to you and say, sources said. Boxing on YouTube has become dirty and perverse. Ew. And that's why you don't see a lot of these guys on social media defending themselves. They do their videos, go about their business because they know they're wrong. I forgot my point. What was I talking about? Guess it's a good time to take a break. Take your time out. Like the video, subscribe, and TstreeT Controversy because we're about to get into some more deep shit. Take a little jump cut. Let's talk about the old guard, writers. Boxing media it's definitely a bizarre world. I've had the pleasure to be able to attend some of the biggest events in the world, send people to the biggest events in the world, like both of the Fury Joshua fights, Wilder Canelo events, Golovkin, Klitschko Jennings, Broner, Mikey Garcia, Manny Pacquiao. You know, like I did the thing. I did like the media thing, and I'm trying to figure out how to say it. They can be pretty snobbish, you know, and they kind of turn their nose up at you. Now, let me just go ahead and say right now, get this out of the way. People are not reading anymore. Kids are not reading. The target demographics that boxing go for, or you know, any type of entertainment genres go for, is 18 to 35 and younger. They want you to like to get in and stay in. Like, you know, if they can get you when you're 12 watching and keep you, that's what they want. What I learned about boxing media, the ones who get to sit like, you know, like up at the front and all that type shit, you'd be surprised, yo, that like you see some people. I've been at some events where this is what I do. I'm gonna tell you what I do. You know, you see like people's names on their spot at the desk. And I go around, you know, and I just look at people's names like, okay, you know, like what do I have to do to get further up? You know, like, who are these people? And I start, you know, looking at the traffic on some of their shit, and I be like, yo, YouTubers is killing these motherfuckers. Like, some of them be from sports publications, and it's like, who is reading your shit? Like, you know, in boxing, there's about, I'm going to say about 10 of them. I'm not going to say any names. There's about maybe 20, depending on if you how deep you are in international boxing, that are must follow reporters, must follows, like Boxing Scene, that's just a must follow. ESPN, that's just a must follow. You see what I'm saying? But certain publications, you'd be like, yo. And the thing is, they like turn their nose up at like others and shit. Like I've seen it, like not with me personally, you know, I had some issues before, but then you have the PR people and you have to think to yourself, like your job is to choose the people that are going to help promote and grow the sport. Now it goes both ways, because when certain YouTubers are given chances, they take it and they start like becoming like Fred. Example, perfect example. Even though the brother's supposedly seeing the light now, I'll never be able to respect somebody like Fred when it comes to like boxing media. You know, Fred Hawthorne, because he's a charlatan. Because, you know, he was all pro PBC, all pro everything. Black is this, always support our black brothers. But once they blacklisted him from events, you just gonna turn on him? All of a sudden, it's like, that fraud's like, bro, motherfucker like that, that's a sneak. So what I'm trying to say is, boxing is so messed up on so many levels, bros. It's almost like it's eating itself. Like, let's go back there. Let's go back to the rankings. Like with these pay-per-views and just, it's the fans that can be toxic. Demetrius Andre, you know, he's the cause of a lot of his own problems. He's turned down a lot of fights. Charlo, if he doesn't get Munguia, remember Munguia will be having to come over to Showtime pay-per-view. Steven Espinoza hinted at it on an interview he did with Fight Hub after, what was that, the Colbert weigh-in? If Charlo doesn't get Munguia, I'm guessing he's going to fight Carlos Adames, who got a win over Sergey Derevyanchenko in his last fight. Because remember, he has to fight somebody in the top 15 of the division, his sanctioned body that he's champion of. Now, personally, I have a really, really bad feeling that Canelo is going to be made franchise champion at 168, and David Benavidez and Lemieux, or whoever wins that's going to be made the WBC champion. Then Charlo and Benavidez got to fight, bro. And I don't know if it's them. I put it this way. I have more faith that Benavidez wants to fight, but I think his handlers and Al Heyman and just the promoters, like, they bullshitting around with it. It's getting too late for these fighters. These fighters are getting older now, in their 30s and shit. We can't keep milking these fights and, like, marinating them. Some of these guys, I hate to say it. I hate to say it like this, but these guys are never going to be superstars. Some of them are not. It's too late. The ship has sailed. And it seemed like Al Heyman and PBC keep doing this. Like, yo, it's not going to happen. They ain't going to blow up. I hate to say it like that. I hate to say it like that. I hate to say it like that. Because I like these fighters. But let's be real. I'm not here to suck no cock. Charlo's a great fighter, but can you see Charlo being the guy in 2-3 years is going to carry the sport of boxing? 500,000 pay-per-view buys, 300,000 no matter who he fights. Hell, 200,000 no matter who he fights. I understand the Munguia fight can possibly move the needle. But come on, man. Like, all these guys, all PBC fighters are not going to be stars. Like, that shit, it's looking like it's over unless they go to Paramount Plus. The Fox deal look like that shit's done. They're not even doing PBC on FS1 shows no more. 154, Jamel Charlo, he got shit under control. In my opinion, the Castaño fight, he lost that fight. Meaning that proper adjustments, I think he can beat Castaño. I'm picking him in the rematch. Tim Zhu, me and Big J did a deep dive on him, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. Erickson, Lubin, and Fandora is going to happen. Got the exact date, but that's like next month, isn't it? I believe this was just officially announced like yesterday or something. 147, I like Errol Spence, but I'm getting fed up with him. And don't be surprised if your Dennis Ugas beats him. And I can understand the business plan of clearing his side of the street before they go after Crawford. But look, listen, with the way PBC's been rolling, do not be surprised if we see if Errol Spence wins, then we're going to see Spence versus Keith Thurman. I see it. But then you have Stanionis and Butayev. Listen, and Spence is already talking about moving up in weight. So Crawford's trying to chase him. And it's going to be a whole bunch of political bullshit up here. Charlo did a video, an interview with Brian Custer, The Last Stand podcast. I'm going to say right now, from what I listen to of YouTube podcast, the best boxing YouTube podcast. I do get straight to business with the questions. Lara, he's fucked off to 160, and God knows what he's doing. Him and Charlo, you know, Jamal is not back with Ronnie, is he? No, Jamal is with Ronnie, right? Where was Lara? Who's he with? Whatever the case may be, it's too much political mumbo jumbo bullshit going on between 135. This is a whole fuck fest right here. Tank Davis, Rolly Romero, Cambosos, and Haney's WBC belt don't mean shit. Loma, he's over at war right now. Ryan Garcia is fighting Tagu coming up, and then the rumors are that him and Tank are going to fight later on this year for nothing. Yeah, I want to see the fight, okay. But between 135, 140, 147, 154, 160, 168, too much bullshit with fighters all talking, not fighting each other. And like, you get fed up. You get fed up. It makes you be like, yo, why the fuck am I wasting my time covering this shit? And it's like, well, I'm not listening to none of these boxers. Because until I see or hear that they're in like aggressive negotiations, I don't trust or believe in none of them. Everyone's looking, it's like this generation of these kids these days. Everyone's looking for like an easy payday, want to be an influencer. All the girls are growing up to want to be OnlyFans, making quick money. Nobody want to work. Just like the saying goes, everybody wants to be Money Mayweather, but they want to skip the pretty boy phase. Like, bro, like this shit is getting out of control. And that's why one of the reasons why I don't like interviewing boxers. I don't like talking to no promoters, doing interviews, because, you know, for one, a lot of them be having motherfucking bad attitudes. It's not my fault you're hungry before the weigh-in. You know? It ain't my fault. Anyway, let me get up out of here. I just thought I'd get that rant about the way. Thank you for watching. Take your time out. Like the video, subscribe.